Hi everyone, this is Aykut from systemcraftsman.com. Today I'm going to talk about how to create a Kafka Connect cluster on Strimzi by using Strimzi Kafka CLI. If you're a legacy Kafka user or an administrator, don't miss this video because Strimzi CLI enables you to use your current Connect configuration files with very small changes only. So join me and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you like it. So let's start our example. In this example, I will be using a working example from a course by Stefan and Marek, the Kafka Beginners course. In that course, there is a very little Kafka Connect section that connects to Twitter and gets the tweets from Twitter and publishes them to Kafka. We will be using the same configuration with a little bit difference, of course, because we will be having our Kafka Connect cluster on OpenShift. Additionally, we will need to do some things before starting our example. I've already done that, but you should do those by yourself. You will need an OpenShift or Kubernetes cluster, the namespace on it called Kafka. In this case, you can set it anything you like, and the Kafka cluster called my cluster. We will need an Elasticsearch because we will additionally save index those Twitter messages from Kafka to Elasticsearch. We will index them to Elasticsearch. I have one up and running. You can create one also with this provided Elasticsearch YAML in this examples repository. You will need a Twitter developer account. This is important because it takes time for them to approve. It took about 2 or 3 days for me, if I'm not wrong. And you will need a Quay.io. Where is it? You will need a Quay.io repository for the image, for the Kafka Connect image that we will be creating, that Strimzi actually creates for us with the help of Strimzi Kafka CLI. So let's start configuring our Kafka Connect first. Remember that this is again from that example. Normally we use if you want to start a Kafka Connect cluster, we should use either the Kafka Connect standalone SH or the Kafka Connect distributed SH. There are two modes of Kafka Connect clusters. You should know that, and one of them runs in a standalone mode with a single node, with a single worker. The distributed one can have many workers. In OpenShift or in Kubernetes, with Strimzi, you can have a distributed Kafka cluster. Normally, with the native Kafka, normally if you want to start a standalone Kafka Connect cluster, you should be using this command. Otherwise, you should change this to let me actually show it to you here. I won't be running this, but something like this. This is the standalone. A standalone one should have a connect properties for the Kafka Connect clusters configuration, and a connector, Kafka Connect connector properties. In this case, this is for Twitter, and you can define many connector properties here. For the distributed one, I'm still talking about the native one, by the way. For the distributed one, this should be distributed, if I'm not wrong. I can be wrong in here, but you can check. And you shouldn't define any connector properties here, just the connect Kafka cluster, Kafka Connect clusters, connect clusters configuration here, because since it is distributed, you have to set those connectors with the REST API. It exposes a REST API, the connect cluster exposes a REST API, and you should be applying those connectors via its REST API. Now, let's talk about Strimzi Kafka CLI. How we do that? To keep this syntax a little bit similar, I thought that first it would be very good to have a Kafka Connect command here, and under it we have either clusters or connectors, just like we had for Kafka clusters. Additionally, under connect we have Kafka Connect clusters and connectors. This is for creating a Kafka Connect cluster along with some connectors. I will explain it to you. And this one is for creating or manipulating, deleting connectors individually. So why I showed you this syntax? Because our connect cluster creation syntax is very, very similar. I will show it to you. But before that, actually, let's configure our configuration for our Kafka Connect cluster and our connector, because in a moment, actually, we will use a similar command set here. We will use similar kind of parameters. We will use our Kafka Connect cluster command, and we will provide a Kafka Connect configuration properties, and more than one, we can add more than one connector configuration. We will add one in the first place for Twitter. So it will be very, very similar for this native command set. That's why I wanted to explain this part to you. So let's have a look at our, in Stephanie's example, let's check this configuration. In a normal Kafka Connect cluster configuration, we have the Bootstrap service, we have the key and value connectors, we have the schemas enabled or disabled, we have the relevant configuration for where to keep these offsets. Since this is a standalone configuration, it's written in the file system, but since we will be using a distributed one, we will change this. The distributed mechanism in Kafka Connect uses topics for this, so we will define topics here just for that. And the plugin path. Normally, what does this do? It looks for the connectors folder. Here is the connector folder. And under that, there should be the plugin resources of the connector, of possible connectors that should use that Kafka Connect cluster. So in this case, we have the Twitter resources. As you can see, we have the Kafka Connect Twitter connector here. Actually, it's the plugin resource, it's the library. So when we enable the Twitter connector, it will be able to use this plugin inside the cluster. And the same are, and the others are relevant, all relevant with the Twitter connector. So how do we do this in Strimzi? Normally for Strimzi, you have to define a YAML file. But since I wanted users to feel it like it's a native Kafka Connect experience, I'm again using the properties file. So my one goal here is to show you can use the native property files to be applied to Strimzi with the help of Strimzi Kafka CLI. First, let's change this Bootstrap server. Since we are using KFK clusters, lists minus n Kafka, in OpenShift I have a cluster called Kafka cluster called my class cluster. Let's search for the services, and as you can see we have those. So let's copy this one, let's copy the Bootstrap address, and we have it exposed with also 1992, so that's fine. Let's keep those as JSON converters. We want our data as JSON. I will set them to false because we don't need any schemas right now. It makes it very easy to read the data. We will be reading Twitter data. We will be producing Twitter data to Kafka. So it will make it very easy to read the data from there. Let me copy and paste this relevant configuration. Offset storage topic, config storage, status storage. These are all the configurations you should be setting in a distributed Kafka Connect cluster. So I am saying that this is my topic for this offset storage, this is my topic for this config storage, etc. And for now, I'm setting their replication factor to 1. This all are changeable. Now, what about these connectors? Because I will be applying, this actually will be converted into YAML with Strimzi Kafka CLI and applied to Strimzi. So what about this part? For this part, I will comment this because we won't be using the local libraries here. We cannot use that. We have to deploy it to our container. This will be working in a container. So for that, for Strimzi Kafka CLI, I am using something called plugin.url. This is actually the same that is used in the YAML. In a YAML, you can define your external libraries that Strimzi can download and build the Connect cluster. This is the same. So instead of setting a plugin path, you should set a plugin URL. And in this plugin URL, you should be setting your libraries, like in this case, it's for Twitter. And you should be setting our Twitter library, Twitter plugin library that includes all those jar files and other stuff like we have in here. So I will paste this one as a URL. Sorry. And we have this. We have the same. This is the same Kafka Connect Twitter connector plugin, by the way. And Strimzi will take care of this with this plugin URL and download the while creating the Connect cluster image. It will download the source resource and open it somewhere and make Kafka Connect use like this. So it will take care of those by itself. We need one more thing. I mentioned to you an image, right? So we have to define our image. We have to define where our image will be residing. In our case, remember I told you need a Quay.io account, and I have one in this case. And you have to create a repository there. Let me copy and paste it to you. You need to define a repository there, and with the image. We have to set it as an image property, and to that image property you need to set your QA.io repository. This can be a repository, this can be your username if you are not using any other organizations under there, and your image's name and its tag. In this case I set it like this. Let me actually show it to you. So I have this demo connect cluster under system craftsman QA.io repository. This is for just for demo, and I made a lot of trials before, because I also have a blog post for this. So I already have an image here that I deployed before, that actually made Strimzi deploy it before. So you can see that this shows, for example, 4 months ago. If we build a new cluster right now, this will show it modified. I will show it to you. So coming back to our example, we set these. Look what kind of small changes there are. There are very small changes. We actually changed this because this should be addressing to the service URL for Strimzi Kafka. We changed this because this is a distributed Kafka Connect, and we changed these. These are the special keys, the plugin URL and image. So let's save this. We can apply this. We can create our Kafka Connect cluster with this. But I want to show you that just like the native standalone one, like this, you can also define a connector here, connector configuration, that also be applied to the Kafka cluster on OpenShift or Kubernetes. So let's work on these Twitter properties. Most of the things will be the same. I just want to change a couple of things, like let me check. Like I will be changing its name, because Strimzi will complain about this naming convention. The naming convention should be something like this. You cannot use underscores, or you cannot use this camel case. It should be, I guess they call it kebab case. You should either define it like kebab case, or it can be something like this. In this case, I prefer something like this. Let's keep these tasks as max as 1, and our connector class, these all will be the same. And let's change our topic names like this, because like I said, it will complain. This one is actually about the convention, if I'm not wrong, but for this one, yeah, the Strimzi will complain. So let's now, we did everything here, and let's change our filter keyword to Kafka. This is the keyword that your connector will be getting the tweets for. So in this case, Stephanie set it as Bitcoin, but we are setting this to as Kafka, so we will be able to search for in our Elasticsearch index in the end. We will be, what we have to define that connector to, we will be doing that. We will be searching for apache-kafka tweets in that Kafka tweets, because there are other Kafka tweets, you know, about Franz Kafka, the writer. So let's now let me set my OAuth for those. Oops, sorry for that. In the, like I said, you should have a Twitter developer account. So what we need here is the consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret. So Let me regenerate those again. Let me regenerate the access token and the secret. This is the access token. And this is the access token secret. And let me check the consumer key too. I'm regenerating it too. This is the key, and this is the secret. So I guess we are all fine. Okay, we have the Kafka Connect configuration. Let's change its name to Connect properties, because it's not a standalone one. And let's check our configuration, like here. Okay, we have the, okay, so don't forget to set your own QA repository for the image as a public one. Don't set it please to a private one, because it won't be able to access it. It will use the, in order to push an image, it will need your username and password for sure. We will be doing that when we apply the Kafka Connect create cluster command. It will ask us for a username and a password. But other than that, you have to define it as a public one, not a private one. And we have the Twitter Connect properties. That's cool. So let's clear this and let's apply our command here. It will be something like, oh, before that, actually, let's create those topics too. I was about to forget that. Strimzi will automatically create its, that cluster actually will automatically create the topics, but I don't want that. I just want to create the topics by myself. So let's create the topics first. This is the first one. I will just copy and paste these. This is the Twitter status connect topic with 3 partitions and 1 replication factor. It doesn't matter actually. Yeah, and we have the Twitter deletes connect topic. So Kafka topics list minus and Kafka minus C my cluster. Yeah, we have the relevant topics here. So cool. So yeah, we made the changes regarding the connector and the connect cluster. So just like this one, we will create our connect cluster. So it is, let me actually write it, Kafka Connect clusters, because we are creating a cluster. We are creating it, and this is my my connect cluster, its name. Let's set a replica as 1. Just we need, for now we need just 1 replica in the Kafka namespace, and let's set our connect properties here. We are in the same directory, I assume. Yeah, connect dot properties, and we should be setting our Twitter properties like this. So you should only set your username for your QA account. If you don't set it, it will ask it for you. So let's actually do that. And if you don't set a -y, if you set a -y, it will directly apply the configuration in OpenShift. If you don't set -1, it will show you how the configuration is generated. So let's not set this -1, and let's run our command. See that this is our configuration. Think of this like it's just a confirmation in this case. So this is our Kafka Connect YAML. It created a plugin for us here with the artifact named connector1, and this is the Twitter Connect plugin, and this is our configuration. We set as a key value pair in properties. Now it's in the YAML, and we have one replica. And for this one, we use this Kafka version. So let's quit this. It asks us to create this cluster with this one or not. I will say yes. Yes, this is the image register username. If we set it with -u and -b, you can use -b, but it's not safe to use. So please just use -u, but you can use also -p for the password. If you set those, it won't ask you this username and password. And please note that there is no check for this. So if you set the wrong username or wrong password, it will complain in the build time. We don't have a control here for this, so be careful with that. So I will set my username as this, and my password, I hope I can do it. I can remember it well. Okay, I set my password, and as you can see, the push script is created, and the connect cluster is created, and the connector is created. So let's check out. Watch. See. Gets what's. Let's see what happens here. As you can see, this is the builds cluster, builds container, build pod of our connect cluster. So let's wait for this one to do its job and create the actual cluster. So it's now building, and after it finishes, we will check the QA.io repository if it's able to push it or not. Okay, this seemed to be completed, and as you can see, another container is created for this. Let's check our QA.io account. Let's refresh this. As you can see, it says a few seconds ago, good. We should be able to, this means that I am able to set my password and username right. So I'm able to push this Kafka Connect image with the Twitter plugin. And if we go back, you can see that it's running. Let's wait it for to be ready as well. Okay, it's ready, cool. So we should be getting some tweets from there. So let's check. Let's use our console consumer for the Twitter status connect topic. And let's see what do we have in there. This is the KFK console consumer. Again, it's from Strimzi Kafka CLI. So let's check if we have some tweets from Twitter with the keywords Kafka. So as you can see, we have our tweets here, but there are lots of tweets. Like some of them are just about Kafka, Franz Kafka. There are many kind of tweets, as you can see. Here it is something about Franz Kafka, which is in Turkish in this case. Probably it's getting the tweets, the Turkish tweets only probably, but we have some Japanese or Chinese tweets there. So yeah, it actually gets all the tweets that we need that are related with Kafka. So that's cool. Now let's go to our next step. Let's alter our, I will stop this, and let's alter our Kafka Connect cluster, because like I said before, we will be using these those tweets in the Kafka Connect brokers in the topic, in the status topic. We will be indexing them to Elasticsearch because we want to do some search with them, right? So let's do this. Let's alter our connect configuration here. In this case, we just need to add the Elasticsearch REST Kafka connector that is provided by Camel, Apache Camel. So let me copy and paste this as well. If you add another connector, just like in these connectors here, if you add another connector, you should separate it with just a comma. So you should be separating those URLs just with comma. So this is the second one, and as you can see, it's from the Camel Maven repository in a tar GZ format. The other one is also in tar GZ format, but those can be in any format, like if I'm not wrong, zip, jar. Those are the compatible formats as far as I can remember. Please check the Strimzi documentation for this. So yeah, we just need this, and let's apply our Kafka Connect cluster, Kafka Connect clusters again, but this time this should be altered. Even if we are just applying it again, we cannot use create because it will complain. We should be altering something. So please use alter in these kind of cases. My connect cluster and -n Kafka. This should be in the Kafka namespace, and connect dot properties. This will alter the Kafka Connect cluster. So yeah, as you can see, it's replaced. Now I will show you. Now we have our Kafka Connect cluster, and we have our Twitter connector, because we created them. We created that Twitter connector while we are creating that Kafka Connect cluster in the same command set. But this time I will show you how to create a Kafka Connect connector individually with the connect connectors command. So let's do this. Let's actually, before that, let's create our Elasticsearch connector here. Let's call it ES. Oops. ES connector, let's say. Of course, it should be connector properties. ES connector properties. I will just copy and paste stuff here in order to be fast for this demo. Again, this is the connector class. It's just like a random example from anywhere. It shouldn't be YAML. It can be some properties file that you use for any Kafka Connect cluster which is native. You can use the same. This is the main purpose of Strimzi Kafka CLI. I did the same for the topics. I did the same for other stuff, the console consumer, console producer. If there are some individual objects, I defined individual command set for them. But if I can do it like in a it's native. I always try to feel like native. So now for Kafka Connect, for a Kafka Connect connector, you can use the same configuration exactly. And Strimzi Kafka CLI takes care about the rest. So let's create our connector. Kafka Connect, in this case, connectors actually. And let's say create and create. In this case, we don't have to set a name here because connectors by default has the name inside the configuration. This is the native approach, so I just wanted to keep it. So we just need to say create, nothing else. And let's set a C or cluster. In this case, this is not the Kafka cluster. This should be the connect cluster. So this should be either cluster or C. I'm using C and saying that this is for my connect cluster in this namespace. And we should be setting again the same approach, properties file, like this. We have Kafka Connect connectors create in this for this my connect cluster, for this cluster in this namespace and with this configuration. Let's apply this. Cool. So let's check out the connectors we created so far. This is Kafka Connect connectors list and Kafka. Oh, and we should define a cluster, sorry, like this. As you can see, we have two connectors, one of which is ready and the other one is not ready yet, so we should wait for it to be ready. So we will check our Elasticsearch if it has the data. I will just set a watch these two. Okay, so we will know when this is ready. So our Camel Elasticsearch sync demo connector is also ready. So since it is ready, let's check it out. We will be running a curl for this, but before that I will use bash because I may face problems with ZSH. We will be using a watch curl command, our elastic external URL, and the tweets index. We will be using the search command for this tweets index. It should be actually indexed automatically. This index actually should be created by the Camel Elasticsearch connector. In this case, as you can see, we set the index name as tweets and the operation index, and the cluster name is Elasticsearch. So automatically it will find the name Elasticsearch from the service list of OpenShift. And again, we have in this case we have string converter, so it's not a problem. We will save it as a string, I mean the value itself, and we are using the connector class. Others are about error tolerance, logs, and other stuff. Well, let me check the URL for this. Actually, So this one is the URL. So it is Elasticsearch ES blah blah com tweets search. So this should return me some results for some tweets with Kafka keyword. So let's see. Oh, okay, we don't have JQ here. Let me stop the video, install it with preview and start again. Okay, I installed JQ. This is a command here for I didn't want to list all of the results, but what I want to do in this case is just get the hits total value and see it in action, see it in action that it's increasing. So okay, let's check. It's now 277. It should get some more records. If it was, for example, something like Bitcoin, yeah, in this case, yeah, we have another tweet. So once a tweet is exposed in Twitter, the Twitter connector catches it, puts it into Kafka, and then it's written into indexed into the Twitter tweets index. Sorry. In this case, so I will keep this open and create another terminal, open another terminal here, and in this case we will do a search. Let's search for Apache in this tweets. So I will copy this command because I need this. I need the curl here. I will let this run, like I said. Let's go to bash again. And let's search for Apache Q equals text. It's a text search in this case. Let's search for Apache. Yeah, we have the Apache related stuff like here, apache-kafka. In this webinar series, get an overview of apache-kafka, cloud native, blah blah. So you can, we have all of the apache-kafka relevant tweets here. So we have it, and you can delete the. As you can see, we have the apache-kafka relevant stuff here. You can also check it from the Elasticsearch UI. You can delete the resources with like this. Actually, I won't be deleting them yet, not this one. You can delete the resources like Kafka Connect, connectors delete. First you delete the connectors, then you can delete the connect cluster like this. It's all in the blog post. I won't be deleting them. And yeah, that's all I think. Please check out this blog post. It explains everything in a little bit more detail. You have the scripts here to set up the Elasticsearch and stuff, but you need an OpenShift or Kubernetes cluster, and the setup script is for OpenShift. You can just change the commands, not a big deal. And all of the stuff I've shown to you is also here. The property changes. As you can see, it's very simple to create a Kafka Connect cluster, create a connector, manipulate connectors, manipulate a Kafka Connect, Kafka Connect cluster itself, alter it, or delete it like I suggest here. So yeah, that's all from this demo. Please don't forget to, if you are interested, please don't forget to download the cheat sheet. I have a cheat sheet for Strimzi Kafka CLI. it's a 5 or 6 pages of cheat sheet that has most of the stuff about Strimzi Kafka CLI, including this Kafka Connect. So feel free to download it by providing your email here. I will email it to you shortly. Yeah, that's all, I guess. Thanks for watching my video, and see you later.